There was one other piece of unfinished business. You said earlier in your discussion, well, what about the Baltics? Well, what about the Baltics? If you could tell us what their prospects are for expansion.
What about the Baltics and what are their prospects? Their prospects are real but more distant. And I think this is me and only me speaking, not speaking for the administration or anyone else in the United States Congress. And I obviously, to state the obvious, I could be dead wrong about this. I think the one place where the greatest consternation would be caused in the short term for admission, having nothing to do with the merit and preparedness of the country to come in, would be to admit the Baltic states now in terms of NATO-Russian, U.S.-Russian relations. And if there was ever anything that was going to tip the balance, were it to be tipped in terms of a vigorous and hostile reaction, I don't mean military, in Russia, it would be that. So the way I look at the calculus here, Ms. Eisenhower, is as follows. I believe, and I once was told that to be in this business, you must be an optimist. So some would suggest this is too optimistic a view. I believe time meaning in the next several years, will solve this. To the degree to which Russia becomes comfortable with, and it has demonstrated that, the enlargement of NATO is not only not in their interest, but ultimately in their interest in expanding stability, is the degree to which the accession of the Baltics into NATO becomes a reality. I think there's a correlation between the two. And so it is my expectation, as well as my hope, that in the near term, meaning by the end of this century or shortly thereafter, the Balts will be admitted to NATO if they still are seeking admission to NATO. I expect they will be. I expect they will be. So there seems, to me at least, in the calculus, to be a correlation between the two. If we do the first piece well, then the second piece becomes inevitable, in my view. Now, there are others who will suggest that that is not the case and we should move for immediate admission of the Baltics. That will also cause some real difficulty within Europe. One of the things everybody forgets is we've got to get 16 votes, including 15 plus ours. 15 plus ours. So to use an old phrase that was used all during the 60s and 70s that maybe is ironically relevant today, there are confidence-building measures that are going to be undertaken as a consequence of this accession process. So in my view, they can and will be admitted. In my view, it relates, though, to the calculus of how well we do the first piece and the reaction and the continued democratization and market economy in Russia. I thank you all very, very much for allowing me to speak to you.